Omagyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumritan Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitan Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yukta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupa Sagrajata Sahagana Ragunatam Vitam Tum Sadivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padasagana Lalita Shri Vishaka Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagapate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakapatarubhyascha Sindhu Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So let's continue with our shloka recitation. We want to start. Okay. Mother Angel, you are the first to raise your hand. Let's continue.
It is 12:8, Prabhu?
Yeah.
Okay. Chapter 12, verse 8. May Bhamarada Swami Buddhim Nivesaya Sakti Deva Tatu Ardwana Samsaya. Translation. Just fix your mind upon me, the Supreme Personality of God, and engage all your intelligence in me, thus you will live in me always without a doubt. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Nice. Mother Matripura.
12.8 Maya eva mana adhatsva mayi buddhim niveshaya nivashisyasi maya eva ata uttam na samshayam. Translation. Just fix your mind upon me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and engage all your intelligence in me. Thus you will live in me always without a doubt. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Very fluent, huh? Thank you. So much practice. Okay, nice. Mother Nikki.
Okay, chapter 12, text 8. Maya eva mana atatswa, mayi buddhim niveshaya, nivasishasi maya eva, ataurtam nasam shayaha. Translation. Just fix your mind upon me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and engage all your intelligence in me. Thus you will live in me always without a doubt. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Very nice. Yeah, Mother Niharika.
Okay, Prabhu. Chapter 12, verse 8. Mayeva mana adatsva mayi buddhim niveshaya nivishisashi mayeva ata uttam na samshayaha. Translation. Just fix your mind upon me, engage your intelligence in me, thus you will live in me always without a doubt.
Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Mother Shaya, please go next.
Verse 12.8. May eva manadhasva mayi buddhim nevasisyasi may eva ataw darbam nasam sayaha. Translations. Just fix your mind unto me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and engage your intelligence in me. Thus you will live in me always without a doubt. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. So let's continue from where we stopped yesterday. We want to summarize yesterday's class for us.
I'll do it, Prabhu. I'll make it quick. Okay.
Thank you.
We continue with chapter 13, Nature, the Enjoyer, and Consciousness. We started with verse 20. According to verse 20, Krishna says that the material nature and the living entity should be understood to be beginningless. Their transformation and the modes of matter are products of material nature. So we were saying that the material nature, Krishna is saying that the material nature and the living entities are eternal because the material nature is from his energy and the living entities are part and parcel of Krishna. Okay. And we went into discussing the 5 topics of Bhagavad Gita because we were trying to put them into categories which are eternal and which is temporary. And so we were saying yesterday that because of, let's just say that we have 5 topics of Bhagavad Gita. We have God, the living entity, the material nature, time, and action. We were saying that God, the living entity, material nature, and time are eternal. Okay, they are beginningless. And the material nature and the living entities are eternal, as confirmed in verse 20. On the other hand, we have the only temporary one, which is action or activity. That's karma. Because we were saying that karma can be changed. Because by engaging in pure unalloyed devotional service, you can become pure and get liberated and get out of this material nature that is coming and going eternally. Okay? So in the purport, it was explained that whatever we are experiencing in this material world or whatever body we're having is due to the transformation of the modes of material nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance. Okay? And we were saying, Srila Prabhupada was saying in the purport that the material nature and the living entities are eternal because they existed before creation or time immemorial. Okay? For verse 21, Krishna says that the material nature is the cause of all the material causes and effects, while the living entity, us, is the cause of various sufferings and enjoyments in this world. Okay? So we were saying that the living entity, whatever we are seeing in this material nature, causes our own suffering and enjoyment. Okay? That is why in the purport, Srila Prabhupada explained that the material nature is the cause and effect of everything. So according to our activity, our karma, we get the kind of body we deserve. And then you told us that if we want to learn more about this, we can read the last few verses of 3rd canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, the teachings of Lord Kapila. Okay, and then we went into a topic of like a topic mentioned in that chapter, that when a living entity is about to die, and when that living entity is a really sinful person, they will be like dragged in a rope. They will be like tied in a rope, dragged by the subtle dogs brought by the Yamadutas, and they would have to go through like a road that is hot, and then both sides are like forest fires, meaning that they will get dragged and bitten, and once they get bitten, they will remember all those sinful activities that they've done in the past. And so we were saying, you were saying to us yesterday that this is just a process of arrest. This is not the judgment for those sinful persons. So they're just being dragged and bitten and being like really treated harshly by the dogs in the Yamadutas before they get brought to the abode of Lord Yamaraj. Okay, and so we concluded verse 21 this way: based on what activities we perform in our present life, at the end, the material nature will calculate everything, and we will get the body we deserve in our next life. Okay, so if you're very sinful, you were telling yesterday that you can become a dog in your next life. You can even become a cat in Ayala. Okay, so for verse 22, Krishna says that the living entity is in material nature follows the ways of life, enjoying the 3 modes of material nature. And according to the purport, the living entity is getting a different body because of their association with the 3 modes of material nature. And we will learn more about the modes of material nature in the subsequent chapters, chapter 14, 16, 17, and 18. Okay, because everything we do in this world is affected by the 3 modes of material nature. And we concluded everything by saying that that is why we are practicing strictly in the food we eat, in our chanting, because by chanting the holy names of the Lord, by eating prasadam offered to the Lord, we can gradually become we can bring ourselves to the mode of goodness. Okay, we can bring our consciousness to the mode of goodness, and in the mode of goodness, one's spiritual life becomes easier. That's it, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Actually, when I'm listening to you, like I'm listening to a lecture, and I'm enjoying the lecture myself. Thank you. Okay, so let's continue. So now we are going to continue from where we stopped yesterday. So we're going to continue from test number 23. Because I said yesterday that this test 22 is the connection between this chapter and chapter 14 also. I hope you remember that. Yeah. So is the connection between this chapter and chapter 14. Because here Krishna is saying that the living entity, they are going through this material nature due to the modes. So in chapter 14, Krishna will now start explaining to Arjuna how this mode acts, how they go to those who are in the mode of goodness will go to heavenly planet, those in the mode of passion, they will remain on earthly planet, those in the mode of ignorance, they will go to animal kingdom, and all our activity is being affected by these three modes. So Krishna is going to explain that in chapter 14. And how to transcend these modes, Krishna also will explain to Arjuna in chapter 14. But now let's continue. Krishna now, in the next verse, 23, is going to describe how is following the living entity and his duty as a super soul to the living entity in the various body they are going through in the material nature. Just like you say, due to the different modes of material nature, they are going through all different kind of enjoying good and evil in various species of life. But how the super soul is following them and taking note of, taking records, even what we have done yesterday at a particular time, or what you've done, what you have done yesterday, maybe in the morning, you must by now you're already forgotten some of them. Maybe I can say the difficult one is what you are doing last year, this same time, forgotten completely. But the super soul is taking records of all our activities. There is no any activity that is not being recorded. We may forget them, but the super soul is taking record. That is why it's easier for Chitragupta, because just like Krishna is all pervading, Yamaraj also and the secretary, they are all pervading, because they are the one keeping the records of all activities of the living entity. Chitragupta is the secretary of Yamaraj. So he has his supercomputer. Whatever computer we have in this material world we think of cannot be compared to the supercomputer of Chitragupta. And our computer can be crashed by virus. Chitragupta computer cannot be crashed by virus. And it's very accurate. So when we come in the abode of Yamaraj, Chitragupta will just press the computer. I think in the future they are thinking to develop such computer. You don't need the laptop, you don't need it, just in the air. The thing will just shoot. You'll be seeing everything in the air. So Chitragupta already have such computer. When you reach the abode of Yamaraj, your activities will be showing to you. You will see them flashing in your face. You'll be seeing everything, all what you have done, both when nobody is seeing you, or when you are in the room alone, or in the corner or somewhere, and think nobody is seeing you and you're doing something. Chitragupta will give you all the records. And that is what happened when the Chaitanya Prabhu and Lord Nityananda delivered Jagat Madai. Yamaraj fainted. Say, my God, the record of these guys, no one can ever clear the sinful record they have. It's so how will you put it? So much that even there's no amount of pious activity that they can perform that will nullify their sinful activities. But just because of the mercy of Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, they were delivered and everything was cancelled. So just by thinking of the greatness of God, Yamaraj fell into ecstasy, and he fell unconscious in the ecstatic love of Krishna. So that is the power of devotional service, and devotional service, just like Krishna mentioned about Bhagavad Gita, Sarva Dharma Parityaja Mamekam Sharanam Raja Aham Tuam Sarva Pabebhyo Mushayasmi Masucha. Surrender unto me, abandon all religions, and I will protect you from all sinful reactions. Krishna said, I will protect you from all sinful reactions. It's all. Do not fear. Do not worry. Some people translated the Masucha to me, do not worry, and some people translated it to be, do not fear. It's the same thing. Krishna will protect us once we surrender to him. But the problem is how to surrender. We're always scared of surrendering to Krishna. You see, that is our challenge. Okay, so let's continue. So here, 23, Upadrashta Anumanta Cha Bhakta Bhokta Maheshwaraha Paramatme Tichapyakto Dehisme Purusha Para. This is the deity of Krishna in the body of the living entity. You see, it's very nice. You see, yet in this body, there is a transcendental enjoyer, who is the Lord, the supreme proprietor, who exists as the overseer and permitter, and who is known as the super soul. So what are the duties of the Lord? He is a supreme proprietor who exists as the overseer and permitter. So the super soul is always following the living entity since time immemorial. You know, just like the living entity beginning is also just the same thing. So the super soul has been following to do what? To oversee our activity, to permit. You know, without the sanction of the Lord, there's nothing we can achieve in this world. So let's go through Papa's purport and really try to understand what Papa is saying. Yes, please go ahead, Mata.
Okay. It is stated here that the super soul, who is always with the individual soul, is the presentation of the Supreme Lord. He is not an ordinary living entity, because the monist philosophers take the knower of the body to be one. They think that there is no difference between the super soul and the individual soul. To clarify this, the Lord says that he is presented as Paramatma in every body. He is different from the individual soul. He is transcendental. The individual soul enjoys the activities of particular field, but the super soul is present not as a finite enjoyer, nor as one taking part in bodily activities, but as the witness, overseer, permitter, and super-enjoyer. His name is Paramatma, not Atma, and he is transcendental. It is distinctly clear that Atma and Paramatma are different. The Supersoul, the Paramatma, has legs and hands everywhere, but the individual soul does not. And because the Paramatma is the Supreme Lord, he is present within to sanction the individual soul's desiring material enjoyment. Without sanction of the Supreme Soul, the individual soul cannot do anything. The individual is Bhokta, or the sustain, and the Lord is Bhokta, or the maintainer. There are innumerable living entities, and he is staying in them as a friend. The fact is that every individual living entity is eternally part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, and both of them are very intimately related as friends. But the living entity has tendency to reject the sanction of the Supreme Lord and act independently in an attempt to dominate nature. And because he has this tendency, he is called the marginal energy of the Supreme Lord. The living entity can be situated either in the material energy or in the spiritual energy, as long as he is conditioned by material energy. The Supreme Lord, as his friend, the Super Soul stays with him just to get him returned to the spiritual energy. The Lord is always eager to take him back to the spiritual energy, but due to his minute independence, the individual entity is continually rejecting the association of the spiritual light. This misuse of independence is the cause of his material strife in the conditioned nature. The Lord, therefore, is always giving instruction from within, from without. From without, he gives instruction as stated in Bhagavad Gita. From within, he tries to convince the living entity that his activities in the material field are not conducive to real happiness. Just give it up and turn your feet toward me. Then you will be happy. He says that the intelligent person who places his feet in the Paramatma or the Supreme Personality of God begins the advance toward a blissful eternal life of knowledge. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Also, what is the cause of the condition soul being conditioned in the material world based on Prabhupada's purport? Someone want to tell us?
I'm sorry, Prabhu, what was the question?
What is the cause of we remaining in this material world?
What is the cost of living in this material world?
What is the cause of the individual soul remaining in this material world?
To get closer to Krishna.
Based on the purport, because that's why we remain in the material world?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you very much, Prabhu. Someone wants to try?
I'll try, Prabhu.
Yeah, please go ahead.
It says here I'm not sure. I'll try. It says here that the living entity has the tendency to reject the sanction of the Supreme Lord and act independently in an attempt to dominate nature. And because he has this tendency, is called the marginal energy of the Supreme Lord. That's why we're here.
Thank you very much. So my misuse of our independence, because we are marginal energy of Krishna, so we have the tendency to either be in the spiritual energy or in the material energy. Marginal means in between, isn't it? Marginal means in between. Yeah. So because we are marginal energy of Krishna, we have the tendency or to be in the material. Our misuse of our independence or misuse of our free will, we try to dominate the material energy. You see, we are always trying to manipulate the material energy. That is why we have all the things we have in this material world. They are always manipulating. They want to, create comfort for themselves in this material world. And in that way, we are becoming more and more conditioned in our complexities. You see? So, unless we truly surrender that our free will to Krishna, I say, Krishna, sorry, I've been misusing my free will. Now I give everything to you. Please guide me back to you. Only then we can get out of this, material bondage. Okay? So, I want to ask another question. What are the 4 activities of the super soul? With the, what are the 4 activities of the super soul? In connection with the soul. 4 activity mentioned in the purport.
Mentioned in the purport?
Yeah. Mentioned in the purport.
Go on, Mother Nikki.
I'm not sure if this is correct, but the super soul is the transcendental enjoyer, he's the overseer, the permitter, and the maintainer.
What is written in the purport? That is what is written in the purport. I'm asking what is written in the purport. So it's 4. And you got it right. Say it again.
Prabhu, the super soul is the transcendental enjoyer, the overseer.
Transcendental enjoyer, yes, number 1.
Overseer and permitter.
Overseer, number 2. Permitter, number 3.
And the maintainer.
And the maintainer, number 4. Okay, so these are the activities of the super soul in connection with the soul. So the super soul is the supreme enjoyer, but he decided to just be staying quietly, watching the soul, try to enjoy the sweet and bitter fruit of the trees. There's another analogy used in the chapter 2 of Bhagavad Gita when describing the soul, that the super soul and the soul, they are like 2 birds on a tree. And the soul is trying to enjoy the fruit of the tree. Sometimes it bites a sweet fruit, sometimes it bites bitter fruit. But the super soul is just watching. You see, even though the super soul is the supreme enjoyer, he just stay there calmly, watching the activities of the soul. Sometimes bites a sweet fruit, sometimes bites the bitter fruit. And in this way, he's going up and down on this tree of material life, which Krishna is going to describe in the chapter 15. The tree of material life is a reflection of the original tree of the spiritual world. The material life is a reflection of the original tree of the spiritual world. So here in the material world, whatever we are searching for is a reflection. And you know what it means when something is a reflection? It's just like now, you go by the side of a river and you're seeing a reflection of a tree in the river, and you're trying to catch the fruit in that reflection on the river. Can you get that? No, because it's a reflection. You cannot get the rating from the reflection. Okay? Okay, let's continue. Well, Erica, you're having some headache.
Having fever, Prabhu.
Oh, sorry. I can see that in my camera. Sorry. Okay, sorry. I hope you are taking some medicine.
No more medicine. It's okay,
Oh,
Prabhu.
okay. Okay, let's continue. Ya evam bedi purusham prakritim cha gunai saha sarvata vatamanopi nasabuyo bijayate. So here is saying, one who understand this philosophy concerning material nature, the living entity, and the interaction of the modes of nature is sure to attain liberation. He will not take birth here again, regardless of his present position. I repeat, one who understands this philosophy concerning material nature, the living entity, the interaction of the modes of nature is sure to attain liberation. Do you get my point? Yes. Just 1 minute, sorry. I need to share. Where is the link? How to get, okay. I want to copy the link. So just imagine one, Krishna is saying, if you understand this material nature, yeah, what again?
You'll attain liberation.
No, what are the things that Krishna says if you understand, you will attain liberation? What are what?
The
Philosophy concerning
philosophy
nature.
The philosophy of what?
concerning material
Concern-
nature, the living
Okay.
entity, and the
Yeah.
interaction of the modes of nature.
Do you see why it's important for us to understand the modes of material nature? And that is why Krishna took his time to explain in details the modes of material nature. Because if you understand how this modes of material nature is acting, you'll be very conscious about what you eat, how you sleep, what you say, how you move around. You'll be conscious of every of your activities. Because you are in knowledge. Those who are in knowledge, they are very conscious. You see? So here it say, he will not take birth again, regardless of his present position. No matter whatever is your present position, once you understand this philosophy of life, you will not take birth again. Once you understand this philosophy, that is why it's very important for us to study Bhagavad Gita again and again. Once you understand this philosophy of life, you will not take birth again in this matter, regardless of your present position, no matter whatever is your present position. So let's study the purport.
I'll read.
Yes.
Okay. Clear understanding of material nature, the supersoul, the individual soul, and their interrelation makes one eligible to become liberated and turn to the spiritual atmosphere without being forced to return to this material nature. This is the result of knowledge. The purpose of knowledge is to understand distinctly that the living entity has by chance fallen into this material existence. By his personal endeavor and association with authorities, saintly persons, and a spiritual master, he has to understand his position and then revert to spiritual consciousness or Krishna consciousness by understanding Bhagavad Gita as it is explained by the personality of Godhead. Then it is certain that he will never come again into this material existence. He will be transferred into the spiritual world for a blissful eternal life of knowledge. Hare Krishna.
So I would like to ask one question. So what have been your experience after studying this Bhagavad Gita till now? What have been your experience, your realization? I'm asking a question, please. Feel free to unmute yourself and speak. Don't be shy.
Studying with you, Panditji, is a lot different than studying by myself and reading and just thinking about it when I was younger. It's really different. And I learned so much more in every moment with you as a teacher. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Babu. So someone else want to share with us your realization studying Bhagavad Gita? Feel free, don't be shy. What is that you have felt after studying Bhagavad Gita with all the other wonderful devotees here? Speak out. How did that make you feel?
Me, Prabhu, I learned how important devotional service is, like
Okay.
an application. Because before I just heard of it, I keep hearing it again and again from my Shisha Guru and other people around me, and I keep wondering, like, if you can just provide for Krishna even when you're not in the temple, right? But when we're discussing pure unalloyed devotional service, I realized that it's much more important to be hands-on, to prepare food for Krishna, to offer to him, to put clothes on the deities, to offer flowers, because only through that process that you can really show your love and devotion to Krishna through actions. So I've learned how important devotional service is, Prabhu, through our Bhakti Shastri.
Very good. Thank you very much for that. Anyone want to share with us what you have learned studying Bhagavad Gita?
I'll share my experience, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
I came to realize about the soul, like how it is eternal. That if like how a soul changes the body, like how it takes upon many different bodies. So I just understand the main concept of the soul, and how super soul resides in every living entity, how we need to see with equal vision to all the living entities. And I also understood how a person acts with the modes of material nature, that they are not, they're just uncovered with the material modes of nature. That's the reason they are just acting in such a way. So I'm able to like okay, take the situation, how a person behaves with you, and I'm able to see Krishna in every living being, since he is a super soul residing in everyone's heart. So this is my kind of realization, Prabhuji.
Thank you very much for sharing your realization with us. See, why I'm asking this is because
Can I say one more thing?
yes, Prabhu, please go ahead.
The other thing, and I told you this before, is that every single time I come to class, I am reminded of how much more I don't know. It's like the more I study, the more I realize how much more I need to study, how much more I need to learn. Like it's a strange feeling. It's not one of regret or anything. I enjoy that fact, but it's been very real to me lately that the more I study, the more I learn I need to study more.
That is very good. It's a good realization because, yeah, because if we are not feeling that, actually, there will not be any inspiration for us to learn more and study more. It's a very good feeling. So I really appreciate that. And I wish that even after we finish studying Bhagavad Gita, on your own, you can pick up Srimad Bhagavatam and start studying. It will be wonderful, you know. Because Srimad, when you dive into the word of Srimad Bhagavatam, oh, it's like you are diving into the ocean of knowledge. You'll just be swimming and swimming and swimming and swimming, and you'll be getting so many gems from that ocean. You know, it's like you'll be picking them and be keeping them in the bag while you are swimming. You'll be keeping them so much in the Shima Bhagavatam, you know. See, so let's see. Let's pray that maybe we'll continue on this the same momentum. Maybe we can pick up Bhagavatam one day. It's very wonderful. Bhagavatam is so sweet, so sweet. You know. Okay. So Mother Shaya, yes.
I just wanted to share, Prabhuji. So before, when I take this class, I felt like a little bit it's too philosophical. But then when we study the Bhagavad Gita, I don't know, I developed taste with it, and what really resonates in my heart is like the exercise that you're like giving us that really impacted my heart, that the qualities that we have to implement is very dear to Krishna. Before, I thought just being doing devotional service, chanting my rounds, serving my guru is already enough. I didn't really realize that having a good relationship and even relating to other devotees is very pleasing to the Lord because of this knowledge. And you always emphasize that. So cultivating forgiveness, humility, tolerance is very like, because we studied the Bhagavad Gita, it really impacted me so much. So lately when a devotee like behave something, I try to like, oh Krishna, she's just going through something. So it's just like the modes of material natures influencing her or him. So let me not just react, let me tolerate it. And this is because of the Bhagavad Gita. Before I don't have that knowledge, I have the tendency to react straight away. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing your realization with us. Also, I know you before and I know you now. So I've tested you also, so I know what you are saying. So I can feel it. So I know who you are. So I know that, yes, you are such a reactive element before, but now that has changed a lot in you. Yeah. So thank you for really trying to practice. Okay. Hare Krishna. Okay, so let's continue. So Krishna is saying here that that if we really understand this knowledge, then we're already liberated. It's very, very important. This knowledge, especially when we come to chapter 14, wow, then you can understand what is the activity of somebody in the mode of ignorance, somebody in the mode of passion. So then you start analyzing life through that. Somebody is behaving a particular way. Oh, it's affected by this particular mode. So let me calm down. So you can just see through people, can see through people's action. In that way, you can be able to take conscious decision on yourself, by yourself. In that way, you will not just be reactive, So understanding, that's what Krishna is saying here, understanding the three modes of material nature, understanding the super soul, the living entity, and the material nature, just having this knowledge, you're already liberated, because you cannot be the same. You cannot have this knowledge and be the same. You'll be different. As long as you're thinking about them, you'll be different. You will act differently. When people come across you, the way you relate with them will be different. They can feel that this person is knowledgeable. The way you react. So that is why Krishna is saying here that one who understands this philosophy concerning material nature, the living entity, and the interaction of the modes of nature is sure to attain liberation. He will not take birth here again, regardless of his present position. Very, very important. So let's go to 25. Let me share my screen again. Janenatmani pashyanti keshi atmana atmanam anye sakena yogena karma yogena chapare. Some perceive the super soul within themselves through meditation, other through cultivation of knowledge, and still other through working without fruiting desire. So Krishna now is describing how we can perceive the super soul in the heart. Krishna mentioned 3 types of yoga here. I want somebody to tell me the 3 kind of activity Krishna mentioned here.
That's Dhyana Yoga,
Okay.
Jnana Yoga,
Okay.
and then Karma Yoga.
Very good. Very good. Yes. So Krishna is saying some perceive the super soul in themselves by engaging in Dhyana Yoga meditation. Some by Dhyana Yoga by cultivating knowledge, and other by Karma Yoga, working without fruiting desire, Nishkama Karma Yoga. You see? So you can see that not one way leads to God. That is what Krishna is trying to tell us. It's not just, okay, only my way is the only way to God. It's not like that. Just like it's mentioned here, yes, somebody who is engaging in Dhyana Yoga, we can perceive the super soul in the heart. Somebody who is engaging in Jnana Yoga can perceive the super soul in the heart. And somebody who is engaging in the Nishkama Karma Yoga, he can perceive the super soul in the heart by properly following this process. So that is one Krishna principle. Okay, let's study Prabhupada's purport. Let's go to Prabhupada's
And read
purport.
it, Prabhu.
Yes, please go ahead.
The Lord informs Arjuna that the conditioned souls can be divided into 2 classes as far as man's search for self-realization is concerned. Those who are atheists, agnostics, and skeptics are beyond the sense of spiritual understanding, but there are others who are faithful in their understanding of spiritual life, and they are called introspective devotees, philosophers, and workers who have renounced fruitive results. Those who always try to establish The doctrine of monism are also counted among the atheists and agnostics. In other words, only the devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are best situated in spiritual understanding because they understand that beyond this material nature are the spiritual world and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is expanded as the Paramatma, the Supreme Soul in everyone, the all pervading Godhead. Of course, there are those who try to understand the supreme absolute truth by cultivation of knowledge, and they can be counted in the class of the faithful. The Sankhya philosophers analyzes this material world into 24 elements, and they place the individual soul as a 25th item. When they are able to understand the nature of the individual soul to be transcendental to the material elements, they are able to understand also that above the individual soul there is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is the 26th element. Thus, gradually, they also come to the standard of devotional service in the Krishna consciousness. Those who work without fruitive results are also perfect in their attitude. They are given a chance to advance to the platform of devotional service in the Krishna consciousness. Here it is stated that there are some people who are pure in consciousness and who try to find out the super soul by meditation, and when they discover the super soul within themselves, they become transcendentally situated. Similarly, there are others who also try to understand the Supreme Soul by cultivation of knowledge, and there are others who cultivate the Hatha Yoga system and who try to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead by childish activities. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you very much. So yeah, Prabhupada just explaining. And also Prabhupada mentioned here about the element of creation. And Prabhupada added two more. What are those two? The other day we listed them out, and they are 24 in numbers. But Krishna Prabhupada added two today, making 26 elements. What are those two?
We have the individual soul as the 25th.
And the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the 26th.
Yeah, this individual soul and the supreme soul, the super soul, the 26 elements. Actually, that super soul that is making all the other ingredients active just by its glance. Okay, so let's continue to test 26. We're doing very well. Very good. Let's continue. Ayetu eva majananta sutwa yevya upashate epishati tarantieva mritu shruti parayanaha. Again, there are those who, although not conversant in the spiritual knowledge, begin to worship the Supreme Person upon hearing about him from others. Because of their tendency to hear from authority, they also transcend the path of birth and death. So Krishna explained three processes in previous verse. And now in this verse, he's explaining about other process, which Prabhupada is going to describe in the purport to mean devotion and service. Okay, he said again, there are those who, although not conversant in spiritual knowledge, begin to worship the Supreme Person upon hearing about him from others. Because of their tendency to hear from authority, they also transcend the path of birth. And so let's read purport.
I'll read it.
Read.
Prabhu.
Okay, Mother.
This verse is particularly applicable to modern society because in modern society, there is practically no education in spiritual matters. Some of the people may appear to be atheistic or agnostic or philosophical, but actually, there is no knowledge of philosophy. As for the common man, if he is a good soul, then there is a chance of advancement by hearing. This hearing process is very important. Lord Chaitanya, who preached Krishna consciousness in the modern world, gave great stress to hearing because if the common man simply hears from authoritative sources, he can progress. Especially, according to Lord Chaitanya, if he hears the transcendental vibration of Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. It is stated, therefore, that all men should take advantage of hearing from realized souls and gradually become able to understand everything. The worship of the Supreme Lord will then undoubtedly take place. Lord Chaitanya has said that in this age, no one needs to change his position, but one should give up the endeavor to understand the absolute truth by speculative reasoning. One should learn to become the servant of those who are in knowledge of the Supreme Lord. If one is fortunate enough to take shelter of a pure devotee, hear from him about self-realization, and follow in his footsteps, one will be gradually elevated to the position of a pure devotee. In this verse, particularly, the process of hearing is strongly recommended, and this is very appropriate. Although the common man is often not as capable as so-called philosophers, faithful hearing from an authoritative person will help one transcend this material existence and go back to Godhead, back to home. Hare Krishna.
So the importance of hearing is stressed in this verse, and in the purpose, the Prabhupada, even stress further the importance of hearing the Mahamantra and hearing from authority. Like what we are doing now, study Srimad Bhagavad Gita, study Srimad Bhagavatam, study Srimad Charitamrita. There is no alternative to this path, only by hearing. You see, it is mentioned in Srimad Charitamrita that Brahmanda Brahmite Kunabhagya Banjiva Shiv Guru Krishna Prasade Paya Lata Bija, that we have been traveling from one planet to another, going throughout the whole universe. But by the mercy of Guru, we get Krishna. By the mercy of Krishna, we get Guru. By the mercy of Guru, we get Krishna. And the seed of Bhakti is planted in our heart. And once that seed is planted, there is two processes for watering this seed. One is chanting and hearing. So when we are chanting and hearing, that is how we water this seed of Bhakti in our heart. Okay? And as we are watering this seed of Bhakti in our heart, the Bhakti will start growing. And as the Bhakti is growing, just by hearing and chanting, very, very important, hearing and chanting. Hearing and chanting, hearing the scripture and chanting the holy name of the Lord. The Bhakti will continue to grow in our heart. And as this Bhakti is growing in our heart, so many other seeds, so many other weeds will be growing. Just like when you plant something on a field and you start watering, weeds naturally grow around the crop, isn't it? Same thing also happened in devotional service. Immediately as you are watering, there's so many weeds will start coming up along with your Bhakti seed. What are those weeds? Desire for position, desire for adoration, desire for fame, desire for prestige, and what have you. All this will start growing along with your Bhakti. As you are watering, as a gardener, you have to be very conscious. Because as you are watering, if you are not conscious, you will think that you are watering the seed of Bhakti, but actually you are watering these other weeds. And if you are continuing to water these weeds, and you're not conscious, those weeds, they continue to grow bigger and bigger and bigger, and they will choke your Bhakti river. They will choke it. And if you're not careful, it may kill the Bhakti, seed. You see? So that's why Chaitanya Prabhu say we should be very conscious so that we cannot put all these weeds. We cannot put the weeds. Desire for fame, adoration, prestige, position. You have to take note of them and uproot them. And also, as we are doing that, as we are taking care of this, our garden, we have to be very, very careful. Why? Because there's what they call mad elephants. You don't allow mad elephant to enter into your garden. If mad elephant enter into your garden, what will happen? We destroy the garden. So that mad elephant is Vaishnava aparad, Nama aparad, offenses to devotee and offenses to the holy name. They are like mad elephant, especially offenses to devotee, Vaishnava aparad. When you offend the bodies, when you commit offenses to the bodies, it's like mad elephant. You will come into your beautiful Bhakti garden and it will destroy everything. That's why you see many people, sometime after taking this process very serious, then they still go away because they allow this mad elephant to come into the garden. Okay? Yes, Prabhuji, I saw your hand up. Please, unmute yourself.
I'm sorry if this question seems really stupid, but I was thinking about, I know what devotional service is when I go to a temple and I see, but in my temple, it's just me, and I'm not sure what devotional service is sometimes. I'm confused.
Okay. It's not a stupid question. It's a very intelligent question. There's no stupid question. Very, very intelligent question. Okay. So, yeah, devotional service means very simple. Okay. Devotional service means hearing and chanting about the names of God. Like when you do japa, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. You really attentive about it? That is devotional service you are doing. When you are studying the scripture, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, or any of these books, you are doing direct devotional service. That is devotional service. Then when you come to worship your deities, like offer puja to them, take care of them, that is devotional service, achana. Then when you go in front of the Lord and you offer prayers, oh my Lord, you are so beautiful. You are the owner of the universe. You are the Lord of Lords. You are the God of God. Everyone bows before you. You are doing devotional service. That is devotional service. So these are different processes of devotional service. So that is the meaning of devotional service. And how this should be performed is mentioned in the scripture. It is mentioned. It says, what is that verse from mental devotion? I try to remember the shloka again. What is that? Shloka? Who can remind me? Jnana karmadi anavritam alukuyena Krishna nushnana bhakti. That is it. The other line of that. Somebody remember the shloka? Jnana karmadi anavritam alukuyena Krishna nushnana bhakti. The beginning, I'm looking for the beginning of the shloka. Okay. Say, looking for the beginning of the line. Jnana karmadi anavritam. You can remember the first line. Jnana karmadi anavritam alukuyena Krishnanu shanana bhakti uttama. You cannot remember, let me search for it. Alukuyena Krishnanu shanana bhakti uttama. Alukuyena. Yena. Oh, I'll get it now.
Class is very patient.
Yeah, it's very good because I want to get the first line.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, you have your student there.
Yeah,
Oh, very good.
I'm very patient.
Very good.
Because, yeah.
Yeah, Ayabila Shitan Sunyam. Ayabila Shitan Sunyam. That is the line. Ayabila Shitan. Say, when a first class devotional service begins, one give up all, like jnana, karma, like speculative knowledge, fruitive activities, etc. You give up all these things that are not pleasing to Krishna. Alukuyena Krishna no Shanana Bhakti Uttama. One engage, you engage in a devotional service favorably to please Krishna. Alukuyena Krishna. One engages in devotional service to please Krishna. That is pure devotional service. So what I'm trying to say in essence is that chanting, hearing, praying, worshiping, serving the Lord, these are all devotional service. But this should be done without no material motives. Okay, Baru? That's okay?
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you very much for joining. Even when you're at your school, you still joining. That's very impressive, Hare Krishna. Okay, Mother Shaya.
Prabhuji, can you just help elaborate this? When I was listening to the lecture of Keshava Swami Maharaj, he mentioned also that devotional service could also be like one is making sure you sleep on time and taking care of yourself. And then he also mentioned that devotional service could also be praying for a devotee's well-being. Devotional service could also be, he mentioned, is being kind to other living entities. So this is what he said.
Yeah, you're right.
Elaborate.
Yeah, you are right. Yeah. So, like you say, being kind to others. The devotional service, Krishna mentioned about Gita, you know, if you treat everyone with equal kindness, it's pleasing to him. So that is devotional service because it's pleasing to Krishna. Whatever is pleasing to Krishna is devotional service. You know, if you don't take proper rest, how can you serve Krishna? You're not on the level of the Goswamis who don't they perform devotional service 24 hours without sleeping. We are not on that level. So for our own level, we need to take rest. So when you sleep on time, let's say for example, you sleep every day 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock maximum, and you wake up early in the morning, because if you sleep by that time, you'll be able to wake up early in the morning. That is devotional service. It means that you are conscious of Krishna, to please Krishna. That's why you are doing that. Today I was speaking with devotees in there when we were going for Food for Life about my grandfather, my mommy's father. He was very regulated in his daily activities, very regulated. You know, he goes to farm, same time every day, comes back same time every day, sleeps and eats same time every day, and wake up at same time every day. And he lived up to 105 years like that. Lived up to 105 years. And when he was about to leave this world, when he was on the bed, final bed, my mother was telling us that he was saying that you should go and call my first son. Go and call my first son. I want to hand over to him because the angels are waiting for me. The angels are waiting for me. And immediately the first son came back home. He handed over to the first son, and he left the body. He said the angels are waiting for him. You see, he was so regulated in his life. So to be regulated, self-discipline is not easy achievement. Those who are self-disciplined and regulated, they are doing devotional service automatically. Because just being self-disciplined and regulated is pleasing to God. How many of us have said, oh, I want to sleep 9 o'clock every day or 10 o'clock every day? We end up sleeping 1 o'clock every day. How many of us? And some of us are covering our mouth because we know we are guilty of that. You see, how many of us we say, oh, today, from tomorrow, I will sleep 10 o'clock. Then we stick to our phone, our computer. That is when we want to talk to somebody, very important. Oh, Hare Krishna, is that looking for somebody to talk to chat with? Then we end up sleep 12 o'clock again. Then we cannot come from Ogalati. So how are we going to be regulated? How are we going to be self-disciplined? It's not possible. So self-discipline and self-regulation is really not easy achievement. So that is why I really respect my grandfather. I never knew what he was doing until when I came to Krishna consciousness. Then I could realize, wow, was such a self-disciplined man, you know. And he married 3 wives, you know, and he has so many children, you know, and he said he's going to heaven, you see. So what I'm trying to say in essence is that he was highly regulated. He was highly regulated. So as a devotee, if we regulate our life, we are going to be happy. Means if you say you are going to sleep by 10 o'clock, sleep by 10 o'clock. If you say you are going to sleep by 9 o'clock, sleep by 9 o'clock. Because when you sleep early, you can wake up early and you become happy. Very, very important. The earlier you sleep, the best for you. The late you sleep, the miserable you become. Become very miserable. Why some of us are very reactive? Because we don't have proper sleep. If you don't have proper sleep, you always be reactive. If you don't have proper sleep, you will always be like a bomb. Because your body is reacting. Your body is reacting inside. You don't know. It's a subtle activity. You don't have proper sleep. You don't have proper food. Why people who don't eat properly, why do they easily become angry? Because their body is reacting inside. You see? So if you don't sleep properly, you will not have the composure to be able to respond to a situation. Think before you act. If you don't sleep, if you don't have proper rest, you don't sleep at the right time, you will not have that composure. So, just like you said, yes, you can really get these two things right. Eating properly at the right time and sleeping properly. We can fix so many things in our life. And we can become very, very happy. Because by doing these two things properly, it shows self-love. Means that we love ourselves. The only when you love yourself, you can share that love to others. Then we'll be less reactive when we are talking with people and when we are relating with people. We respond, not react. So we stop here because I have to go now to do my service. Thank you very much. So see you tomorrow. See you tomorrow. Hare Krishna. So tomorrow we're supposed to recite a new shloka. So please make sure that you practice that shloka till tomorrow. That is 13:22. I want all of us to try to practice that new shloka, please. It's a very nice one. So let us try our best. 13. If you don't know this, if you cannot memorize the shloka, you can memorize the English. Ordinary English also is enough, okay? If you cannot memorize the shloka, ordinary English is enough. Because when you quote, whether shloka or English, any time you quote from authority is very powerful. It doesn't mean whether it's in Sanskrit or whatever language it may be. But when you quote from authority, it brings potency. Okay? So if you cannot memorize the Sanskrit, memorize the English. Whichever one is easier for you. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. See you tomorrow.